The Mariners are now 2 games deep in Cactus League play, and in this video, we're going to talk about 3 key takeaways from the first couple of Mariners games, as well as the new pitch that Andres Munoz is cooking up. Andres Munoz, one of the best pitchers in the Mariners system, and he's already cooking up a new pitch for 2025, and it was Matt Brash, I think it was, described it as the best pitch he's ever seen. But let's first start here with just a recap of the first 2 games. The Mariners are currently 0-2 in Cactus League play, but both games have been vastly different. In the first game, the Mariners lost 5-2 to the Padres, and they only had 2 hits, 1 home run from Samad Taylor, and a single from Blake Hunt. The game on Saturday, completely different, where the Mariners had 11 hits, scored 10 runs, and ended up getting walked off by the Los Angeles Angels of Disneyland. Now, this game was ridiculous. It featured 6 errors, 4 from the Mariners, 2 from the Angels. You probably saw a little bit of the highlights before, but I'll throw them up on screen now for your viewing pleasure. And yeah, this game was just crazy. I think the biggest standout for me, though, and the first key that I want to talk about here is Tai Pete, who obviously, he didn't start the game. He took over in center field for Victor Robles, and not only did Tai Pete smack a double in this game, but he also made a great catch out there in center field. Tai Pete is a guy who is a freak athlete. He's one of the best athletes in the system. We know his primary position is shortstop, but he really does have a chance to be a center fielder at the next level as well, because he is just such a freak athlete. Now, Joe and I touched on him a little bit in tomorrow's video, the 168th episode of the Hit It Here podcast, where we talked about our top 30 prospects and what to look out for Tai Pete. I had him ranked a little bit higher than Joe, spoiler alert, but I think that as long as Tai Pete works on those strikeouts, because he struck out 162 times in 2024, then he is poised for a really, really big 2025. I think that what we saw out of him in his first look at Cactus League play was kind of the dream for Tai Pete. Making really athletic plays out there in center field or shortstop or wherever the heck you put him. He can probably play anywhere on the diamond. And hitting the ball in the gap. Like I said, he hit a double in that game as well. He's fast. Like I said, a freak athlete. Tai Pete's a guy I'm really excited to keep looking at. Another guy that was talked about in tomorrow's video is Nick Dunn. And he's a guy that the Mariners acquired during the offseason. He was originally with the Cardinals organization. He's 28 years old, but it's hit wherever he's gone. And he put together the best at-bat we have seen all of spring training, and probably that we will see all of spring training. It was like a 12 or 14 pitch at-bat that ended up being a double smash to center field over Joe Adell's head, hitting the ball the other way. Nick Dunn is certainly a guy that I think has a better chance than a lot of us are giving him credit for to play second base for the Mariners in 2025. We know that Leo Rivas is right there. We know Dylan Moore. We know Ryan Bliss, etc. And Cole Young is probably the answer in the end. But Nick Dunn is a guy who has hit everywhere he's gone. And he continued to do that in 2024, where he hit .316 with Memphis. He doesn't strike out a whole lot. He doesn't walk a whole lot either. He had a .374 on base percentage with a .468 slug. Good for an .842 OPS. Nick Dunn is kind of that dude, and he's really flying under the radar. I wanted to rank him in our top 30 prospects. You'll have to watch tomorrow's video to see if he actually was ranked in our top 30 prospects. But yeah, I think that at-bat that we saw from Nick Dunn was a pretty good indicator of where he's at, both physically and mentally going into this spring training. He knows that this is probably his last shot. This is his last crack at making a big league roster and being able to make his MLB dreams a reality. And yeah, 2025 with the Mariners, especially at second base, that's kind of where he needs to be looking out for. And the biggest thing, I think, number 3 on my checklist here is that, and it was to be expected, so this is maybe a moot point here, the pitchers are behind the hitters. We saw Logan Evans struggle in his first outing. We saw Jonathan Diaz struggle. We saw some of the pitchers just struggle in general. And yeah, pitchers generally coming into spring training are a few weeks behind the hitters. That's why they get there earlier. A few weeks behind them in their finding the feel and whatnot, because pitching's very, very difficult. Not to say hitting's not, but the hitters have always usually been more on time than the pitchers. So hitting your spots, making sure you're getting the right spin on pitches, and you're not throwing at 100%. If these guys are throwing at 100%, it would be a lot different. But instead, they're throwing it maybe like 65 to 75% of what they normally can, and because of that, the ball's going to just naturally get hit a little bit more. So I don't think we need to be too worried. Like if on Monday, Logan Gilbert goes out there and gets shelled by the Brewers, I don't think we should be too worried about that. Again, I think it's a process where we just want to see where he's at the end of spring. So whatever. However, Hagen Danner did look pretty good in his outing on Saturday. He did walk one batter, but otherwise he looked pretty good in that outing with some nasty stuff. Blas Castano had a pretty decent inning. There were a few guys here and there. Obviously, there's like 20 pitchers that pitch each game, so it's very hard to keep up with. But with that being said, one pitcher who is working on a new pitch is Andres Munoz, and he's working on a changeup. Not just any changeup, but one that's called a kick changeup that we're going to hear a lot about throughout this year. This is a pitch that it sounds like Clay Holmes of the New York Mets has been working on, and he just threw 3 perfect innings over in Port St. Lucie, I think is where the Mets play. And this pitch, yeah, it's a different changeup grip than what you would normally use, and it has a bit more depth than a normal changeup. And according to the TrackMan data from Adam Jude, he says it had a 10-inch vertical drop, and Cal was jazzed about it. A 10-inch vertical drop on a changeup is crazy. I'll have video of it here. It's pretty hard to see, obviously, from this angle because the guys are recording it through the fence. But nonetheless, I think that it's pretty insane to think about the fact that he already has an incredible fastball. He has one of the best sliders in the game. And now he's adding a really good changeup. I do want to preface that it's early on in spring training. And that was like the first one he threw, he said. And he doesn't always know where it's going. So there's a decent chance that this changeup doesn't even make it out of spring training. But based on the reaction that Cal had, it sounds like there's a decent chance that we do see it in the actual MLB season. And I'm excited to see what a 3-pitch mix for Andres Munoz looks like. Obviously, he has his 2-seam, he has his slider, and now a changeup, which I think will work really well on left-handed hitters specifically. If it drops 10 inches on the outside part of the plate, I think that is a great pitch for him to be equipping himself with, because a lot of his movement is side to side, whether it be the 2-seam or the slider. With a kick changeup, if it drops as much as they're saying it did, and again, this is just a bullpen, so who knows game action if it'll do that, but if it drops as much as it did, that is an elite, possibly put away pitch versus lefties that Andres Munoz may so desperately need, because he doesn't always want to throw the back foot slider to lefties because occasionally you're going to plunk him. He doesn't always want to throw that 2-seamer away because you're going to start to just be able to get read like a book when you only have a couple pitches. Not to say that he can't do it with just 2 pitches, because he clearly can. He did it in 2024. But yeah, adding another pitch for Andres Munoz after an elite season, this could be the thing that takes him from a very good closer to an elite closer in all of Major League Baseball. So I'm super excited about that. More games coming up soon. I will be down in spring training tomorrow, Monday. My flight leaves at 6 a.m. I get there at 9:49 Arizona time, so 8:49 Seattle time. Can't wait to see all you guys down there. I appreciate you guys watching this one, and go Mariners.